Thursday, February 5th, 2026, and the death toll from Winter Storm Fern has now surpassed 110 people nationwide as hundreds of thousands remain without power nearly 2 weeks after this historic storm. The numbers keep climbing every day, and we're now dealing with one of the deadliest winter disasters in modern U.S. history. This isn't over yet. Another dangerous Arctic blast is loading up for later this week, and with so many people still without heat, we could be looking at even more tragedy. So let's break down exactly where we stand right now and what's coming next. More than 10 days have passed since Winter Storm Fern slammed into the United States, and we are still dealing with a massive humanitarian crisis across the South. The death toll has risen to at least 110 people and continues to climb daily as authorities find more victims. Tennessee alone has confirmed 25 deaths, including heartbreaking cases like 92-year-old James Mitchell, who was found in his Nashville home where the temperature had dropped to 47 degrees, and 79-year-old Betty Doss, discovered in a 44-degree home just this past Friday. Mississippi is reporting 21 confirmed deaths, with the latest fatalities occurring in Yazoo, Lafayette, Benton, and Panola counties. Governor Tate Reeves announced these additional deaths over the weekend, saying, "Our state is praying for the friends and family of those lost." Louisiana has confirmed 9 deaths, with 5 of those being hypothermia victims. 2 people in DeSoto Parish died from carbon monoxide poisoning, highlighting one of the ongoing dangers we're seeing across the region. The power situation remains absolutely critical. As of today, over 70,000 homes and businesses remain without electricity in Tennessee and Mississippi alone. That's nearly 2 weeks without power, without heat, in temperatures that have been well below freezing. Nashville still has around 60,000 customers in the dark. Some areas of Mississippi are looking at power restoration dates extending into the end of January, and we're already into February now. This is creating life-threatening conditions that we haven't seen in decades. When you combine extended power outages with these brutal temperatures, people are dying. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell has issued an executive order creating a 9-member commission to investigate Nashville Electric Service's storm preparation and response. He said the commission will have investigative powers, including the ability to compel witnesses and production of records. That's how serious this situation has become. The Tennessee Emergency Management Agency is asking anyone whose home has been impacted by Winter Storm Fern to complete a damage survey. They need to understand the full scope of what we're dealing with here. And unfortunately, they're also warning about an uptick in scams, with people receiving fake text messages and phone calls claiming to be from TBI asking for money or financial information related to storm recovery. The economic impact of this storm is staggering. Verisk Analytics estimates that insured losses from Winter Storm Fern could reach $4 billion. That makes this one of the costliest winter storms in U.S. history. The most severe icing was reported from eastern Texas into northern Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky, with some areas receiving up to an inch of ice accumulation. When you get an inch of ice on power lines and trees, that's when you see the kind of catastrophic damage we're dealing with. President Trump has approved 12 federal emergency disaster declarations, freeing up resources in Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has been touring affected areas, meeting with governors, and assessing the ongoing damage. She visited Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves in Tupelo, where they discussed the unprecedented ice damage the state has experienced. But here's the thing that really concerns me. We're not done with winter yet. The polar vortex disruption that caused Winter Storm Fern is continuing to send Arctic air into the eastern United States. We're looking at another significant cold blast later this week that could bring temperatures back down into the single digits and teens across much of the southeast. For people who are still without power and heat, this could be absolutely devastating. In North Carolina, we're seeing additional damage from the weekend bomb cyclone that followed Winter Storm Fern. 4 unoccupied homes along the Outer Banks collapsed into the Atlantic Ocean during the storm, adding to the more than 28 homes that have collapsed since 2020. The National Park Service has photos showing piles of debris along the shoreline in Buxton. One bystander actually recorded one of these homes toppling into the water during hurricane-force winds. The agricultural impact in Florida has been severe as well. Fern growers are waiting for ice coatings on their plants to melt so they can assess the damage. This happened right in the middle of their busiest shipping season before Valentine's Day. Victoria Register from Fern Trust, a growers' cooperative in Seville, Florida, told reporters, "It is just terrible timing. It's right in the middle of our busiest shipping time of the entire year." Water systems across the affected region are still struggling. The Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation has created a real-time map showing impacted water systems throughout the state. Multiple water main breaks and system failures are being reported as infrastructure continues to fail under the prolonged cold. Flight operations are still being impacted nearly 2 weeks later. January 25th went down as one of the worst days for flight cancellations in U.S. history, with over 11,000 cancellations that day alone. That was the worst day since March 30th, 2020, at the height of the COVID pandemic. Over the entire storm period from January 23rd to 26th, more than 20,000 flights were canceled. The National Weather Service reported that at the peak of this storm, around 300 million people were under some form of winter weather warning or advisory. By mid-morning on January 26th, over half of the contiguous United States was covered by snow. This was truly a storm of historic proportions. Looking ahead, the Arctic Oscillation and Pacific North American pattern are showing some signs of change, but unfortunately, that change isn't going to bring immediate relief. We're still looking at below-average temperatures extending well into February across most of the eastern United States. The polar vortex remains stretched and displaced, which means we're going to continue seeing these Arctic air intrusions. In fact, both the Arctic Oscillation and the Pacific North American pattern suggest that we could see continued cold weather patterns through much of February. The AO is trending toward neutral, which might decrease the frequency of the most extreme Arctic blasts, but it's not going to eliminate them entirely. And with hundreds of thousands of people still without power and heat, even moderately cold temperatures become life-threatening. Here's what makes this situation so dangerous. It's not just the cold. It's the combination of the cold with the infrastructure damage. When you have extended power outages lasting nearly 2 weeks, people start to make desperate decisions. They use generators indoors. They burn charcoal for heat. They use propane heaters in enclosed spaces. Carbon monoxide poisoning has already killed multiple people during this event, and that risk continues as long as people remain without power. The Mississippi National Guard has been extended for an additional 7 days and currently has 650 soldiers helping clear roadways and provide water assistance. Governor Reeves said 41 counties have submitted requests for assistance, and 51 of the state's 82 counties are reporting some sort of damage. That's more than half the entire state dealing with storm damage. Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee has requested that President Trump grant an expedited major disaster declaration for 23 Tennessee counties. Lee says he's hopeful the declaration will be issued quickly to free up additional federal resources for recovery efforts. In Mississippi, the counties still seeing the most power outages include Lafayette with over 10,000 customers still in the dark, Panola with more than 9,000 outages, Tipa with over 7,000, and Tishomingo with more than 6,000 outages. As of Saturday night, 14 counties were still reporting ice on power lines and infrastructure. The death toll from this storm now exceeds the deadly winter storm of February 2021 that hit Texas and other southern states. That storm killed around 70 people. We're now at 110 confirmed deaths, and the number continues to rise as search and rescue operations continue and as more people succumb to hypothermia and carbon monoxide poisoning. One thing that's particularly tragic about this situation is how preventable many of these deaths are. When people have been without power for nearly 2 weeks in below-freezing temperatures, they're going to do whatever they can to stay warm. That's when we see the carbon monoxide poisoning cases, the fires from improper heating sources, the hypothermia in elderly people who can't maintain their body temperature. The storm carved a path of destruction from the southwest to New England, affecting more than 20 states. At its peak, the storm system was nearly 2,000 miles wide, making it one of the largest winter storms on record. The system developed from an upper-level low on January 22nd and steadily moved eastward, dropping heavy snow, ice, and freezing rain across the central United States. What made this storm so dangerous was the combination of extremely cold Arctic air colliding with warm, moist subtropical air. The result was widespread freezing rain that coated everything in ice up to an inch thick in some areas. When you get that kind of ice accumulation on power lines and trees, the infrastructure simply can't handle the weight. As we move forward, the focus now has to be on preventing additional deaths. That means getting power restored as quickly as possible, providing warming shelters for people who need them, and educating people about the dangers of carbon monoxide poisoning from generators and other heating sources. The Tennessee Department of Health is specifically warning people about generator safety. Never use a generator inside your home or garage, even with windows and doors open. Only use generators outside, more than 20 feet away from your home, doors, and windows. Carbon monoxide poisoning has hospitalized dozens of people during this event. Looking at the extended forecast, we're going to see some moderation in temperatures over the next few days, but another Arctic blast is possible by the end of this week. For people who are still without power and heat, even a return to normal winter temperatures could be dangerous. When you've been living in 40-degree homes for nearly 2 weeks, your body's ability to regulate temperature becomes compromised. This has been one of the most significant natural disasters we've seen in years, and the recovery is going to take months, not weeks. The infrastructure damage across the Southeast is extensive, and many communities are going to need federal assistance to fully recover. As always, thank you for watching Michael Carter Weather. If you know anyone in the affected areas, please check on them. This crisis isn't over, and people are still dying. Make sure you like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll continue to monitor this situation and provide updates as they become available. Stay safe out there, everyone. Goodbye.